If you're planning a dream trip to Japan, you're probably wondering, how much is this adventure actually going to cost? Well, we spent 2 months traveling around Japan as digital nomads, splitting our time between Tokyo for 4 weeks, Kyoto for 2 weeks, and Osaka for 2 weeks. And let's just say we were a bit shocked about how different the prices can be depending on the city. Osaka was way more budget-friendly than Tokyo, but honestly, we can see why Tokyo is so expensive. It's one of the most exciting cities we've ever been to, and that type of energy comes at a price. But in this video, we're going to be breaking down exactly what we spent on accommodation, transportation, food, activities, our eSim data, and on shopping, so that you'll have a solid idea of what you should budget for your own trip. And if you're a digital nomad like we are, this will be a great real-life case study on monthly expenses in Japan. Now, if you're new here, I'm Kendra Lucas.
And I'm David Lucas of Lucas World Travel. We've already shared 20 things to know before you go to Japan, and 40 must-do experiences in Tokyo, and soon we'll be dropping full travel guides for Kyoto, Nara, and Osaka. So hit that subscribe button and don't miss out on those opportunities. But for now, let's talk about accommodation costs in Japan. For long-term and budget stays, we highly recommend checking out apartment rentals on Airbnb and Booking.com. In Tokyo, we found a great spot in Osaka for $1,837.76 for 28 days, which comes out to about $65 per night. Osaka and Taito City tend to have the cheapest rental prices, but there's a trade-off. It takes 50 minutes to an hour to reach popular neighborhoods like Shibuya and Shinjuku. That said, we really enjoyed the quiet, beautiful atmosphere of Osaka, so it was worth it for us. If you're looking for hotels in Tokyo, here's what you can expect. 2-star hotels start at $88 per night, usually farther from the city center. 3-star hotels start at $106 per night. 4-star hotels start at about $180 per night. Tokyo hotel prices add up fast. One thing to note, many hotel rooms in Japan only offer twin or full-size beds, which can be a bit tight. So we've included a list of recommended hotels that offer queen-size beds in the description below.
Now, when it comes to Kyoto and Osaka, accommodation is much more affordable. In Kyoto, we stayed 2 weeks for about $758.03. That comes to about $54 per night. And Osaka is even cheaper, with 2 weeks costing us $647.41, or about $46 per night. So if you're looking to save on lodging, Kyoto and Osaka are great options for that. But let's be real here. Tokyo is worth every penny for the energy and fun that you can have there. Hotel prices in Kyoto are also much lower, with 4-star hotels starting at around $58 per night, and 5-star hotels starting at about $228 per night. And if you're on a budget, you should check out the Appa hotel chain. It's a popular chain across all of Japan with rates that start at just like $69 per night. The rooms are small, but if affordability is your top priority, Appa is a solid choice.
For transportation, we spent a total of $295.89 or $147.94 per person during the month of Tokyo. Here's the breakdown. Subway and bus rides, $99.06 total, or $49.53 per person using the Suica card.
Now you'll pay for each subway ride based on distance. Short rides may cost as little as 170 yen, or about $1.17, while longer rides may cost 550 yen, or about $3.75.
Taxi to Tokyo Station from Osaka was $19.04, or 3,000 yen. Shinkansen from Tokyo to Kyoto was $177.79 total, or $88.89 per person. In Kyoto and Osaka, our total transportation cost was $212.04, or $106.02 per person, mainly spent on buses and trains around Kyoto, Nara, Osaka, and Mino Park. When planning your route, be sure to check prices carefully. Some train routes can be twice as expensive as others for the same destination.
But the biggest transportation question that we hear is, should you get the JR pass or not? So many people ask if it's worth it. Well, as of 2025, a JR pass costs $352 for a 7-day pass, and it costs $563 for a 14-day pass. And honestly, I don't think it's worth it for most travelers. The pass is crazy expensive, and you only have a short time to maximize its value. Plus, JR lines are just one part of Japan's massive railway system, and we barely use them. Aside from taking the Shinkansen and a few rides between Shinjuku and Shibuya, we relied on other rail lines much more often. For example, I originally thought we were 100% going to use JR trains between Kyoto and Osaka, for example. But it turned out we used the Keihan line instead because it was cheaper, faster, and more convenient to where our accommodation was located. The only time a JR pass might be worth it is if your accommodation is right next to a JR line station, or you plan on taking the Shinkansen like every other day. Otherwise, just pay as you go. It is cheaper, simpler, and way more flexible.
Next, we found eating out in Japan to be surprisingly affordable. I have to say, we were shocked by how little we spent on restaurants in Japan. Normally, when we travel, dining out is one of the biggest expenses. We usually spend about $800 to $900 a month on restaurants, or $400 to $450 per person. But in Japan, we spent only $637.06 in Tokyo for the whole month, and $706.15 for a month in Kyoto and Osaka. And here's the crazy part. We ate out a lot. But as long as we stuck to the Japanese restaurants, prices were super reasonable, usually $10 to $15 per meal, or 1,400 or 2,200 yen per person. Now, if you go to Western restaurants, that's where it starts to add up. We grabbed Italian pizza and pasta one night, and we also tried some vegan food. Both were around $20 to $25 per meal, or 3,600 yen per person. So if you're craving Western food, that's where the cost is much more. The one thing we didn't splurge on, premium grilled beef like sukiyaki and shabu shabu, I really wanted to try it. But at $50 per person, I just couldn't justify this trip. But trust me, it's on the list for next time. Outside of premium beef, we found Japanese food to be both delicious and affordable. Whether it's ramen, sushi, udon, or bento boxes, you can eat well in Japan without breaking the bank. So if you're worried about restaurants' prices, don't be. Japan has plenty of budget-friendly, tasty options.
Activities, however, can get a little pricey in Japan, but this is because Japan has a plethora of fun activities to try out. Now, normally we budget $400 per month for activities. That's $200 per person. But in Tokyo, we nearly doubled that, spending a whopping $749.32 total.
What?
Which is clearly news to David too, but that's a whopping $374.66 per person. But honestly, it was worth every yen. And if you saw our 40 things to do in Tokyo video, then you know we did all the things, all the activities. But our biggest splurges were on the Shibuya cart. That was $111 per person. But that was hands down the most fun we had all year. Then we had our trip to Mount Fuji, which was $67 per person, which was the easiest way to see the views at Mount Fuji. We did the art exhibit at Team Labs, which was about $23 per person. And the viewpoints at Tokyo Skytree and Shibuya Sky, it's about $15 to $18 per person, and worth it for the great views.
In Kyoto and Osaka, activities are more affordable but still epic. In total, that month, we spent $542.75, or $271.31 per person, which is still more than typical for us, but again, still worth it. Our biggest expense was Universal Studios Japan and Nintendo World at $135.38 total, or $67.69 per person, which is half the price of Universal's in Orlando. So, in a way, this was actually a deal. Other fun experiences include a geisha performance at $26.78 per person, which was a beautiful cultural experience. Team Lab's Botanical Garden, which was $15.45 per person. It was a magical night. Viewpoints and temples came to $13.66 per person. Kyoto's scenery is just unreal. So while Japan's activities can get pricey, they're also next level fun. So put a little bit more in your budget for activities because they are really worth it every single yen that was spent.
Now for groceries, I'll be honest, I barely cooked anything in Japan. And honestly, I didn't need to. Convenience store food was so cheap, delicious, and easy that we practically lived off ready-made meals from 7-Eleven, Family Mart, and our local supermarkets. So in Tokyo, we spent $351.30 at grocery stores and convenience stores, grabbing drinks throughout the day, egg sandwiches for breakfast, and bento boxes at the supermarket for dinner. I may have cooked maybe twice in Tokyo, but I didn't enjoy it because finding my usual ingredients in the supermarkets there was a real struggle. Plus, why cook when you can grab a fresh and tasty bento box for about 450 yen? That's about $3 US. So by the time we got to Kyoto, Osaka, I had completely given up on cooking and was only buying pre-made meals. Naturally, this bumped up our grocery spending a little to $415.05 for the month, but it was worth the convenience for us.
For data, we used Airalo and got 10 gigabytes for 30 days at just $18 USD per person. Super affordable and worked great everywhere. We also kept our US phone numbers while traveling, which cost $57.07 for 2 lines. It was a little higher than usual because of some expensive international calls. So in total, we spent $91.43 for phone service for our month in Tokyo. We paid only $66.17 our month in Kyoto because our US phone bill was only $48.17, as we didn't make any international calls and we got customer loyalty discounts on eSim and only spent $11.50 on Kendra's and $6.50 on mine.
And shopping in Japan is dangerously fun. Now, we usually don't do much shopping when we're traveling, but Japan turned us into little shopaholics. There were so many cute stores, fun electronics, and unique souvenirs that we couldn't resist. So, shopping in Tokyo, we spent $340.41, mostly on clothing and electronics. Shopping in Kyoto and Osaka, we spent $151.96, so a little bit more restrained, but still fun. Now, shopping is totally optional, so you can ignore this cost if you're not a big shopper. But if you love shopping, Japan will tempt you and your budget, so plan for it accordingly.
So, in total, we spent $4,309.71 for the month in Tokyo and $3,515.71 for the month in Kyoto and Osaka. Looking back, I can admit that we overspent for some things in Tokyo, but I'm happy we got the opportunity to pack in so many amazing experiences, made memories that will last a lifetime. In general, though, Tokyo is definitely on the pricier side, especially for accommodations and activities, but Kyoto and Osaka felt way more budget friendly. And of course, being a tourist always comes with an extra expense. If we were living in Japan long term, our costs would be much lower, with less sightseeing, less restaurants, less shopping, and a better understanding of where to find the best deals.
Yes, before this trip, I always thought Japan was crazy expensive. But after 2 months of living and traveling there, I realized that while tourism can be a bit pricey, there are definitely affordable ways to live in Japan. So if you would like to visit Japan but are worried about the cost, I hope this video gives you a bit more confidence to make it happen. Because no matter what your budget is, there's a way to experience the magic of Japan. Up next, we'll be posting guides to Kyoto, Nara, and Osaka. So be sure to like and subscribe to see those coming out very soon. Until next time, you can check out our complete Japan playlist on the right there. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for sharing with all your travel pals, and happy travel planning until next time. Bye.